Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well and I hope that you have a magnificent day. I'm here to do an intuitive card reading to see what insights, guidance, and messages the universe wants to share with us at this time. And a big theme that's been coming in lately is going with the flow. Getting those sparks of intention and inspiration and following through with it, seeing where they lead, not trying to force things, not being rigid or controlling, but allowing the free flow, allowing things to play out naturally. If you're having this rush of energy, maybe you go at it super hard and you just one thing just happens after another and you're just in the zone. Or maybe it's a slow, gentle flow and things just are naturally unfolding slower at a more leisurely pace. But whatever it is, the universe is asking for us to trust and to go with the flow of the stream, not trying to force our will. There's a difference between, consciously co-creating with the universe and trying to be like, no, I know best, and forcing your will. But anyhow, let's take a look at the cards and see what else the universe wants us to know. Okay, so the first card we have is Brilliance. Discover your sparkle, and I find it interesting how it's a waterfall and that's naturally flow. Gravity just has the water flowing down. It doesn't try to go upstream against gravity, it just goes with the flow. But yeah, where is it that you can shine? What strengths, gifts, talents, insights, experiences, stories, where can you shine? What is your sparkle? What are your true colors? Because the universe wants you to capitalize on that. I've always really been interested in helping other people, creative things like art and writing and reading and all of that. And so basically lately I've been working on all these different projects, like affirmations. I have various sets up on Gumroad now that I've been working on. I'm working right now on this lunar journal. I got very inspired, and it's going to deal with different phases of the moon, including how I think we recently had a new moon in Virgo, and so going through the zodiac signs as well, and just I felt really excited about that. Different affirmations, different intentions, different rituals, using crystals or herbs. Cinnamon is super protective and all that, just different things you can use if that is something that interests you, because I know there are plenty of people who want to get more in sync, more in flow with nature, with the earth's natural cycles, the natural cycle of the moon. And so that's just one thing that came to me recently, and I've been in the flow with that. It's been coming out really easily. And so if you can discover your sparkle, what lights you up inside, where it is that you shine, it's going to be a whole lot easier than trying to force things. Granted, that doesn't mean you give up on areas that you struggle with. I personally struggle with things like code. It doesn't make sense to my brain, but I know that coding can be helpful, and so I've been working on it. It still can go way over my head, but through using things like code, I'm able to make these affirmation, I guess you could call it a generator, where it'll give you a new affirmation when you click on a button. It plays a nice little sparkle sound effect and everything. It helps me do cool backgrounds. I don't have to have it just be a blank page. It's really fun. It doesn't make the most sense to me with coding, but I'm doing that, and I've been able to put out multiples. Each affirmation thing has 100 or more. Most of them I think have 300 different affirmations, and so it's themed, and I feel for people looking for that, it could be very, very helpful, because I know my best friend since 6th grade has told me stuff like that. She's man, I just feel really stuck, and I want inspiration, and I want to make myself feel better, and I want to work on this area of my aspect, or I want to work this with a mindset. And so that's why I've been working on things like journals. Or I had a friend talking about how they want to take more time to unwind, and they wish that they had cool coloring sheets, so I was working on coloring sheets as well. So they're just different parts of you, who you are as a person, where you can stand out and shine, and it'll just make the world a better place. Doesn't mean it's everyone's cup of tea. Doesn't mean that everyone's going to flock to it and be like, yes, I want it. But the people who do want it are going to be so grateful that it's out there, that they can get it, you know? And that's the same with YouTube or any other social media platform. Not everyone's going to resonate with your messages or what you have to share. That's okay. But the people that do are going to be very appreciative of the fact that you shared. So discover your sparkle and share it with the world. Don't hold yourself back. Me personally, I don't know if you can tell from my videos, but I'm a very quiet, introverted, I can be very shy and just like not speak up. So it's like, even if you are an introvert, even if you're really quiet, like growing up, kids thought that I couldn't speak and that I was stupid because I was so quiet. Like, that's the thing. I'm not one to make a big ruckus. But even people like that, you can share what your stories, your insights, your resources, your creations. Like, you have things to offer the world, and there are people out there who will be so grateful that you share it. So don't hide it away anymore. The universe wants you to shine. The universe wants you to dazzle, even if it's in your own awkward, unique way. Like, I remember talking to my best friend in 6th grade when we had, like, it was just after we met. I was like, oh yeah, everyone's weird in their own weird way. It's just not everyone's willing to own up to that. So how can you sparkle more? You know? Yes, orange. Nurture yourself. How can you nurture yourself more? That's one of the reasons why I've been working so much on these coloring sheets, these affirmations, these journals. I want people to nurture themselves more. I want them to have the introspection. I want them to tend to their inner gardens, emotional gardens, mental gardens, spiritual gardens, all of that. And it feels like in modern society, there's not enough of that. So I'm just like, well, if I put things out there, you know, hopefully it'll inspire more people to do it. Not that they necessarily have to go and get mine. I do have a free sampler of prompts up on my Gumroad too, if anybody's interested. But nurture yourself. Take care of yourself. Fill up your cup. Because when you do, you are able to get in the flow all the more easy. If you are exhausted and burnt out and drained, we get crabby, okay? Humans, we get crabby when we're not taking care of ourselves, when we're not nurturing ourselves, when we're not filling up our cups, and we can get lashed at, we can start lashing out and getting emotionally triggered, and you can't be in the flow that way. Like, there's these blocks that come up, and you don't get in the zone. Like, I know I wouldn't have been able to make all these cool products back when I was working all those jobs, one, because I didn't have the time, but two, like, if I did have time, I would have been just so tired. And I have been working on nurturing myself more, and so these things can come out. And, you know, I'm able to have these videos, and I'm able to share my energy in these videos, and I'm not drained and depleted. So that's another thing that the universe wants us to do, is to take care of ourselves. Because we matter so much. Yeah, lemon, access innovative thinking. When we are in the flow, in the zone, we get all these new ideas, all this inspiration, all these new innovations, these solutions we never would have thought of. Like, we end up having these perspectives that are just like, it's completely different angle. Like, oh, I never thought of it like that. Like, I don't remember why, but I was just thinking to myself, I was like, I wonder, like, I want to make some more journals. What could I make? Because I think I have like 6 or 7 of the affirmation sets right now, but I was like, what else could I do? Because I feel like I want to do more with journaling. And I was like, oh, what about the moon? Like, I know that the moon can be very big for people, and I was like, okay, well, if people want to work with the moon, what could they do? And so, like, it just opened up this whole door, and like looking into symbolism of the moon, things you can do with the moon, like not just having it be like, oh, here's a prompt, like it's the new moon, here's a prompt, like having it go in depth. And like, I just got into this flow state within it. It was beautiful, and it was very innovative for me, because I can do simpler journals. I've done that before, but I was like, what else could I do? And it's just really interesting how much innovation and new ideas and this spark and creativity that can come in when we're in the flow. But when we're trying to force things, we usually have that rigid, inflexible stance mindset where it's just like the ideas, the inspirations, the solutions could be trying to come with us, but it's almost like we have this impenetrable force field on us and they just kind of go bounce off, and the universe doesn't want that for us. It wants us to go to greater heights. It wants us to thrive. It wants us to share all that we can, not in a we owe the world kind of way, not in a we should deplete ourselves for the world and like to share, but just because when we share with one another, we can lift each other up. But so much of what I've seen, and I'm not saying this is everybody, but just from me personally, with observations of my family, my peer groups, coworkers, bosses, exes, all of that, like, it's very much a me mentality. And like, I'm going to make sure that I rise above all of you, and I'm going to step on you and make sure you're small. And that just makes me really sad. And it doesn't have to be that way, you know? We can all sparkle. We can all shine. We have dolphins. Find joy in the playful connections and let your intuition guide you to deeper understanding. Yeah, when we're in the flow, things like joy, fun, gratitude, excitement, eagerness, like all of that just starts bubbling to the surface, and it's contagious and people join in. We have these deep, meaningful connections, and it's like we have this spark, and one person will say something like, oh, this, and it's like, oh my gosh, that's a better idea, like, and then you can just like bounce off each other, and it's like a brainstorm, and it's like all alive and energized and beautiful, and it helps us dive deeper and have a greater understanding of all that's possible. But when you're being rigid and controlling and trying to force things, there's not really space for that. Your energy is rather restrictive and constraining, and it's like it can try to expand, but it's kind of like you're forcing it into this tiny box. You're like, no, this is what it is. And so how can you bring more joy and play and fun and lightheartedness into your day? Because it's going to help you get into the flow better. I know with me personally, I'm human too. Like, I can get set in my ways and be like, oh, I'm going to work on this, and then it doesn't work. And so sometimes I try to force it because, sometimes it's just a little snag in the road and you can overcome it. But sometimes it just builds the frustration and you get more and more irritated. And that's, for me, I've learned that it's when I need to step back and I need to pivot and I need to switch to something else. And usually by switching, like, it just like opens up the floodgates and things flow so much better. But yeah, we need to have more joy and play and fun, because so many people aren't living like that. It's the struggle survival mode. And it's not like I'm blaming other people, because so many of us have been conditioned and programmed and trained to be that way. But it doesn't have to be that way, Coral compass. Trust the guidance of your inner compass and let it lead you to your true north. Yeah. Like, discover your sparkle. What is inside of you? What is your passion? What lights you up inside? Like, what just naturally has you flowing and excited, and things just like come together, and it's sort of like dominoes. Like, it's just boom, 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 and it just naturally just comes together. Because our intuition knows. Our intuition is guidance from our soul, from, you can say the divine, our higher self, like whatever you want to say. Is like, it's the nudges trying to get us on the path that will be the easiest flow. We just don't always listen to it. And so the universe is asking us to. It can be easier said than done when things like fear and all that comes in, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's so real. And it's like, but fear is false evidence appearing real. Not to say that there can't be valid danger or anything like that, but often in modern society, a lot of our fears and worries and paranoia and all that, it never comes to pass. It never does. Yeah. Sea turtles. Getting into the flow with a sea turtle. Navigate life's challenges with patience and grace, trusting that slow and steady progress leads to success. Yeah, sometimes the flow is going to be slower. It's going to be more leisurely. It's going to be gentler. It's not going to be like rapids where it's like whoosh, we're all like all aboard the hype train kind of thing. Like it could be more gradual and gentle and just step by step by step. And that's okay. Have patience. Allow it to unfold naturally. You don't need to rush it. You don't need to push. You don't need to force. You don't need to coerce. You don't need to control. I have witnessed that with so many people, and I'm not perfect either. I'm human. I've done it. And it's just a mind blowing to step back when I catch myself doing it and just to see what happens when I release, when I let it flow, when I give it grace and space, because that's when it can bloom, that's when it can thrive. But we don't always want to do that because we want it now. We want instantaneous, right? Newman and Libra, know you are loved. You are so loved. The universe adores you. You are its beloved child. And there are people out there who love you. They may never say it, maybe you have secret admirers or fans if you have like a social media account and they watch everything you do and they just love your energy and they're supporting you, but they never leave a comment or anything like that. That's fine. But know you're loved. Know that you are enough. You don't have to have it all together. You don't have to be flawless. You don't have to, have all the fancy equipment, a big old team. Like, just be you. Show up as your authentic self and let that shine and dazzle come through. Let your brilliance come through because you are brilliant. Not in the same way as everybody else because we're all unique individuals, but you have it. And sometimes it just takes some time and space to let yourself discover it, because it's that expression, what is it, like, with expecting a fish to climb up a tree kind of thing and be like, oh, you're horrible. Like, how come you can't climb up the tree? The monkey over here, it climbs up the tree. What's wrong with you? And it's just like, but if it was in the right environment, i.e. the water, it would thrive. It would be able to swim so well. But it can't climb up the tree. It's not a monkey. So it's just like, have you been allowing yourself to pursue your interest, what lights you up inside, so that you can thrive? Like, that's one thing that always disheartened me about the traditional school system is that people keep getting forced into things. Granted, I'm not saying it's bad to learn or that it's bad to have a wealth of knowledge across different subjects. It is important to know how to write, how to read, how to do math, that kind of thing, to have a basic grasp of history and things like that. But so often, like even in college, like all these required courses, and it's just like, if people were allowed to just pursue their interests instead of having these rigid like boxes, there'd be so many more people that are happier, that like, oh, I actually can thrive. But I would see that the kids who would struggle in the traditional classes would thrive in like the quote unquote fine arts, theater, art, music, all of that. But those are the ones that always are first to get cut. And so, like, people, like, is it any surprise that some people think that they're failures, that they're no good, that they aren't loved, that they're not, like, they have no worth because they're not allowed to thrive? They're being fish thrown in a tree and say, climb it, It always broke my heart because I'd see these kids bursting into tears because they'd be comparing themselves to other people too and be like, I'm not good enough. Like, no, you are. You are good enough. You just, one, because some of these were really young kids, it's like, you may just need to practice more to improve your skills. Or two, you just may need to try a new, like, media or a new technique. Like, you could be really, really good at something else. But because you're having this rigid mindset, you're not allowing things to flow and to try new things. You can't see it, Yeah. Focus on the positive, New Moon and Sagittarius. And that's not to say that you turn a blind eye to negative or things you don't like. You're aware of it. You see it. You're not, being naive. You're using your discernment. But when you focus on the positive, you make space for more of that positive positive energy to come to you. Because what you focus on grows. What you give your time, energy, and attention will expand, build momentum, and show up more in your light. You reap what you sow. The energy you put out comes back to you. So if you're focusing on the positive, not that you don't acknowledge all the bad or all the things you want to improve, but when you focus on the positive, it makes room for the flow, for the solutions, And you just tend to have a better mindset in general, and people want to be around you. Not that if you're having a rough time, people are just like, nope, never helping you, not hanging around you. But it's just like certain people, they just fixate and obsess over the negative, and it's just, they're really hard to be around, my family included. But the universe is asking for you to step into your power. First quarter moon in Aries. What is it that you can do right now? It doesn't have to be a giant leap. It could be a tiny baby step. Like, let's say you're wanting to start a YouTube channel. Okay, one step you could take is to literally create and post a video. But if that feels like too big of a step for you, a smaller step might be to, come up with a list of 100 ideas that you can make a video on, and, maybe to practice talking about the video topics in the mirror so you can just get some practice in. So like when you are recorded, it's not as hard. There are ways that you can step into your power and start doing better for yourself. But a lot of times what trips us up is our own mindset, because we're like, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm shy, I'm quiet, this, that, and the other. And the universe saying, hey, you are so much more powerful than you realize. Build yourself up. Trust yourself. If you have a hope and a dream and a goal inside of you, it's there for a reason. Follow that inner compass to your true north. Know that you're loved. Focus on the positive. Like, if you're like, oh, I suck, well, it's like, okay, that may or may not be a fact. It could be just your opinion. You may not be as bad as you think, but if, let's say you are as bad as you think, well, the positive of that is there's so much room to improve, and that you can't get worse if like you're the worst of the worst, so you can only go up from there, and you can discover your sparkle, discover your brilliance, step into your power, start watching all these doors getting unlocked, all these opportunities finding you because you are stepping into it. Yeah. New moon and Capricorn, step up and lead. How can you lead the way in your life? What steps can you take? You don't have to do anything crazy. It doesn't have to, go all the way, jumping up a mountain. It can be steady, slow progress, like with the sea turtle. Having patience, because it's going to lead to your success. But if all you're doing is thinking about it, if all you're doing is envisioning it, if all you're doing it is like writing it in a journal and be like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Not saying that's bad, like that is great, but it's incomplete. You need to actually take the step. You need to actually take action. You can't always be thinking about it, because if all you're doing is thinking about it, life and time are passing you by, and the universe will provide you more opportunities, but eventually, if you're constantly waiting for the quote-unquote right time, life is going to pass you by. And I think about like all these retired people I've known, and they'll be like, man, I wish I had traveled more when I was younger. Now my body aches. And so it's just like, you can step up and lead now. You can take the action. What is it that you want to do? Start following that, even if you start slow. Because slow and steady will win the race. It will. Yeah, the caterpillar potential. You have so much potential within you. It's waiting to be birthed. That's why the universe is saying, hey, discover your sparkle and nurture yourself, because you're going to become the butterfly. You will. It may take time. It may be a lot slower than you prefer, but you have so much potential within you. It's time for you to see it. It's time for you to tap into it. It's time for you to step into your power so you can become that butterfly. Acknowledge where you're at. You're the caterpillar, but also acknowledge the fact that caterpillars become butterflies. You're going to be able to soar freely in the sky, It's going to be beautiful. Yeah, because the universe is working magic and miracles on your behalf. The crow. There's so much magic and miracles the universe wants to bless you with. But you have to be open to it. You have to co-create with the universe instead of trying to force your way, trying to do it all on your own. Because yes, the universe wants you to step into your power. The universe wants you to step up and lead. It wants you to take action. It doesn't want you to just be sitting and twiddling your thumbs like, when's it gonna happen? I think I need like 1,000,000 signs and then maybe I'll do it. It's like, the universe will help you with the magic now, but it also needs you to be taking that inspired, aligned action to actually be taking steps towards it, because if it sends it to you when you're not taking steps, it's just going to fall flat and fall through your fingers, and the universe doesn't want that, because with our human egos, then it becomes like, oh, see, I wasn't meant for it. I'm not good enough. I'm not loved. I can't do anything right. And the universe doesn't want that for us. It wants us to discover our sparkle, to tap into our potential, to know we're loved, to focus on the positive, and to make our dreams reality. It wants that for us. But we gotta actually go for it, you know? Okay, we have space. May your heart and your scope expand. Yeah, the universe is abundance and limitless potential and magic and miracles and opportunities, and there's so much that we can tap into. But we have to expand. We can't limit ourselves. We can't close ourselves off, because if we do, we're blocking ourselves from it. We're not going with the flow. We're not tapping into the divine currents of life and the natural flow of energy and ideas and inspiration. So we have to expand. We have to be open. We have to make the space for it, because we can say all we want. We can have all the pretty words. We can talk the talk. But if we're not walking the walk and practicing what we preach, if we're not putting into action, it's kind of just a moot point, you know, because all these people, not to say it's bad to use affirmations and set intentions and to journal and all that, but what I've noticed is a lot of people just kind of leave it there. One of my former friends was notorious for this. She always would go on and on and on about all the things she was going to do, and she would maybe start it and then it would just fall flat, and she'd be like, well, it's not meant, so I'm not going to do that. And then she'd be going on and on and on about all these other ideas and then do nothing with it. And it's great to have the ideas, but we need to make space for it and to actually act on it, you know? We have to have an expansive view, because a lot of us limit ourselves. Unintentionally, but we do. Bliss. May you feel deeply and transcend. Yeah, that's again going back to the dolphin card, finding joy in playful connections, like making more room for fun, enjoyment, ease, excitement, eagerness, you know, savoring life, and just like feeling and tasting and smelling and just all of it, like how good it can be. The universe wants us to be deeply in love with life. Not that we have to like everything, not that everything's to our preference, but like making it so we're in the flow and just can embrace all that life is, you know, present moment magic and the bliss of that. Just being present and be like, ooh, it feels so good to have the sun on my skin, or the breeze caress my face, or all the flowers, or all the pretty fall leaves because we're getting ready to head into fall, or that soothing sound of running water. Like, there's so many things that we can enjoy. But again, because so many people focus on the negative and get caught up in complaining, they miss out on this bliss. And so the universe is reminding us to make space for it and to focus on it. Yeah, imagine. May you look beyond what can be seen. That's what getting into the flow, getting into the zone can do. It can have us imagine openly and freely, not, you know, restrain ourselves. Well, that's not realistic. That's not likely. That's a pipe dream. Oh boy, if only. Like, that'll never happen. Like, see beyond what currently is. I know my family loves to say, oh, I'll believe it when I see it. Well, the reality is you'll see it when you believe it. You have to believe in order to see. So why not use your imagination to your benefit and imagine all the possibilities, all the potential, all the magic, like what your life could be, and follow your intuition, your inner compass as your true north, and just be expansive. Make space for it. Make space for the bliss, the imagination, the creativity. Yeah. Rediscover what brings you joy. That'll help you get into the flow so beautifully. Having fun, making space for joy, for laughter, for games, for play, for imagination. Do more of that. Tap into your inner child. Because children, they can see the magic and the splendor and the wonder of the world. They're excited over simple things like a stick or a box, okay? So rediscover what brings you joy. Discover your sparkle. Nurture yourself. Have play. Have fun. Have enjoyment in life. Tap into bliss. We need more of this in this world because everything can feel so heavy and doom and gloom, but the universe is saying it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't. Yeah, you're worth fighting for. You deserve to have a life that you enjoy, where you can thrive, that you're not, on autopilot going day to day through the mundane grind, day in, day out, everything's the same and you hate it. You're worth fighting for. So, if you get into the flow, what good might happen? Where might it lead you? What doors might it open? Think of it like this. What's the cost of you doing nothing and letting everything stay the same? What's the cost? Because a lot of times we will talk ourselves out of things, coming up with excuses and justifications of why we shouldn't follow our heart, our soul, the calling inside of us. And so it's just like, okay, that's valid, but what's the cost of doing nothing? Of not chasing it? What's the cost of letting time pass you by as your idol and letting all these opportunities slip away? Because you're valuable. You're inherently worthy. You're enough. You're worth fighting for. So what might happen if you start fighting for yourself? If you start choosing yourself, you start getting in alignment and chasing after what it is you want, discovering your sparkle and your potential, nurturing yourself and your dreams. What might happen? What might happen? Yeah, you're rebuilding beautifully. You may feel like you are back at square one, like nothing is going right. I'm kind of there with you. I've had many of these destruction phoenix type moments where everything turns to ash. You're like, okay, I gotta start over. Had many of those. But the universe acknowledges all your efforts and wants you to know that it's all working out for your greatest good. The universe has a divine master plan and perfect divine timing, and it is working magic and miracles behind the scenes, lining things up, lighting up opportunities, connections, everything, and saying, hey, it's going to work out. You're going to be able to bloom. You're going to be able to thrive. You're going to have a bountiful harvest. You're rebuilding beautifully. So don't sell yourself short. You've got this. You've got this, guys. You're rebuilding beautifully. Okay, we have wind chimes, peace and harmony, and this feels like the winds of change are coming in, blowing away all this stagnant energy and mindsets and blocks and limiting beliefs and negative narratives, and allowing you to rediscover your sparkle, to tap into what it is you want in life, to pursue it, to take those action steps. Even if it's not perfect, even if it takes a while, slow and steady, you're going to find peace and harmony because you're in alignment. You're in resonance with yourself. You're in resonance with your soul, with who you truly are. And that is priceless. Peace of mind and your well-being, your happiness, those are priceless treasures. Health is wealth kind of thing. Like so many people have so many mental emotional, psychological health issues now. Also physical, but it's just like a lot of it stems from us being inauthentic and out of alignment. And so once we're finding our brilliance and we're tapping into that, it's going to bring in so much peace and harmony. So much. And yeah, that also comes from keeping your life in balance. Scales. Nurturing yourself. Filling up your cup. Allowing yourself to rest without judgment. There's so much stigma with rest and taking care of yourself and filling up your cup. People start saying you're lazy, you're selfish, that what the heck is wrong with you? Like, you're not doing enough. What? And it's like, they can go on and on and on, but it's like, no. Nurture yourself and keep your life in balance. Take care of yourself, because that is going to allow you to get into flow, to bring in this peace and harmony, this joy, all these ideas, all this success, all this abundance. You need to stay in balance. You can't let the scales tip, because that's going to send you into downward spirals. Been there, done that. I got horrible burnout. Okay? I've been there. My life was so out of balance, and I'm getting it to a much better balance now. Bridge, successfully overcoming a problem. Yeah, because you're taking care of yourself, because you're connecting in to who you are and what it is you want, and going after your dreams and taking those action steps. You're shifting your mindset of what's possible. You're tapping into your potential, and that's going to help you overcome these problems, these obstacles, these hurdles. Yeah, there may be setbacks, but you're accessing innovative thinking and all these new ideas, these opportunities, these solutions, and it's going to help you overcome them. And it also helps just because you're tapping into more fun and enjoyment and bliss and love. And yeah, people are going to notice. Bouquet. Compliments from an admirer. And this could just be a fan. It doesn't have to be like in a romantic sense. Or it could be the universe, because the universe admires you, it adores you, you're its beloved child. Like, it wants to see you succeed. It wants to see you thrive. It wants to see you reach your full potential. So get excited, guys. Things are going to be turning up once we get into the flow and tap into who we are. Yeah. Fan, romance, celebration, party. This very much feels like fanning the flames, like that inner spark, the flames of passion are ignited in you, and the universe, the flow, you're just fanning the flames, and you're burning brighter and brighter and brighter. You're discovering your inner sparkle, your inner brilliance, and you're just dazzling. You're brilliant, and you just illuminate like the whole space. It's beautiful. You can celebrate that too. Like, people are going to start acknowledging that. Yeah, about money or property through inheritance, winning, or windfall. Like, yeah, because you're going with the flow, because you're not fighting the natural flow of things, you're co-creating with the universe. You're going to be inheriting big time. You're going to be getting money big time. You're going to have abundance. You're going to have prosperity. You're going to have the blessing, the magic, the miracles, because you're not fighting against the universe, because you are recognizing this universe, the divine, co-creates and conspires in your favor for your highest good. And so by listening and making space and following and trusting that, all these doors are opening up to you. Like, it just feels like it's like a shower, like a downpour of all this abundance, all this prosperity, all this well-being, all this peace, all this harmony, all this success. So get excited, guys. And it may take some time to reach that, but in the end, like, that's what's going to come out for you. So yeah, know you're worth fighting for. Make time and space for your joy, for fun, for play, for gratitude, and acknowledge that you're worth it, and that good things happen when you pursue your dreams, your goals, your aspirations, when they're truly aligned and coming from, your soul's calling. So listen to your heart and soul. It's not going to lead you astray. I am sending you all so much love. Please take care, and I will see you next time. Bye.